Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be playing another premiere draft of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. It's been a long time since this has been on Arena, so I'm going to be pretty new to the format again, but it was a pretty sweet time. Very simple format overall, pretty core set style mechanic-wise. Yeah, without further ado, let's just get into the pack one, pick one. Delina Wildmage is pretty fun, but pretty random, pretty chaotic. Can be relatively powerful, but with only 2 toughness, she's probably going to die the first time you attack no matter what. I do remember Cleric class being quite solid. There are a lot of good life gain cards, and just the 5 mana level 3 ability is quite nice, being able to recur something. However, for just a consistently good card, there's also Priest of Ancient Lore, which is just absurd up front no matter what. 3 mana 2/1, gain a life, draw a card. I think I'm just going to go for some nice bread and butter, simplistic power level cards and take a Priest of Ancient Lore here. For pack 1, pick 2, we've got a Hulking Bugbear for a big haste threat. Plate Armor can turn any creature into a pretty relevant threat later on. Put this on a Priest of Ancient Lore, and now you've got a 5/4 with Ward 1, and that's probably going to be one of the smaller creatures in our deck, so I think Plate Armor turns just anything into quite a massive threat. I might roll with that here. Not too much else in the pack. Improvised Weaponry was always solid, but that's really just because the red-black deck was incredibly good, unless that improvised weaponry was that good by itself. Yeah, I think this is a nice simple plate armor to go with our white card here, the Priest of Ancient Lore. Alright, for pack 1, pick 3, now that we already have a Priest of Ancient Lore as a nice little consistent way to trigger 1 piece of life gain, Cleric class does go up a little bit in value, and again, I think that level 5 ability is really nice for any deck, being able to reanimate something and gain life equal to their toughness, so I kind of like Cleric class here. As the pick, some pretty powerful black cards, Sepulchre Ghoul and Vampire Spawn were both great, but we're going to stick to white for now. Stick to just our one main color, choose our secondary later on. Another plate armor seems solid to me. Ranger's Hawk always seemed a bit slow to me, not super into the card. We could take this opportunity to move into secondary color with Precipitous Drop. This card is pretty nice, and the black-white color pair does care about trying to venture into the dungeon as much as possible. We've got a lot of ways to do that, as you can see with cards like Ranger's Hawk. So I could see Precipitous Drop being the pick over a second copy of Plate Armor. I think I'll actually try that out. We'll take Precipitous Drop here. Solid removal spell with great value from that venture into the dungeon effect, and it gets a lot better in our color pair. For pick 5, there's not a lot of cards that I'm super interested in. I'm definitely not married to black yet, so I could take Hill Giant Herdgorger as a really nice card to top your curve off with. A 7/6 is just always going to be the largest creature on the board, and it gains life as well, which is good for the green-white life gain deck. So I'll take a Herdgorger there. Pack 1, pick 6, Dungeon Descent. Such a bad rare, unfortunately. Comes into play tapped, only adds colorless, and takes 4 mana and a legendary creature to start venturing into the dungeon. Really sad card. Clattering Skeleton seems perfectly fine, though, for the black-white venture into the dungeon archetype, so we'll go ahead and scoop that up here. In that direction. Hired Hexblade is pretty nice for the red-black deck, because you can have a lot of treasure tokens to spend on this. Black-white's not really going to produce much treasure, so I think we'd be a bigger fan of the Yuan-Ti Fangblade trying to venture into that dungeon, speed through all of those chambers and get a lot of value. We'll take the Fangblade. Alright, Vampire Spawn's going to be really nice for black-white, because we are going to care a little bit about life gain off of just Cleric class alone. Plus Vampire Spawn is just a great card, period. 3 mana 2/3 is just a good stat line there for fighting off any 2/2s our opponent's trying to beat us down with, and the life drain ability just has ended up being quite powerful in the format. Take a Vampire Spawn over the Clattering Skeletons there. Now I'll take a Veteran Dungeoneer, keep delving into the dungeon. I'll just take the on-color cards now to try to get people off of our color pair. I think black-white Dungeoneering is where we're going to end up here. Zombie Ogre is nice. One of the less consistent dungeon delvers, kind of expensive as well. I remember Sepulchre Ghoul being just absurdly strong at 2 mana, but again, that's really for the black red archetype, but I think even in black-white, this is just such a powerful activated ability for a 2-mana creature to have that I'm still going to scoop that up there. Alright, now we're picking up some top end, and see what we get for pack 2. Pick number 1. So Sphere of Annihilation is basically a really slow board wipe. Yeah, you have to cast this at sorcery speed. You're letting your opponent know exactly what you're going to be exiling. And then once it comes back to your turn, you exile everything. That seems pretty bad. It's two-sided as well, so you're going to be wiping your own cards. Yeah, not super into that. I'll just take another Veteran Dungeoneer. Again, just keep digging very far into the dungeons. Could take Owlbear here, maybe try to pivot towards green-black. But I kind of like just sticking to what we have here and trying to keep delving into the dungeon. Another Yuan-Ti Fangblade here. Also White Dragon, which seems great. 6 mana for a 4/4 flyer is a little bit slow, but it gets to tap a creature an opponent controls when it hits the board and lock it down for a turn. We don't have a lot of removal either, so you hear something on Watch looks pretty good. Steadfast Paladin's always great. 2 mana 2/2 lifelinker. So Dragon, Steadfast Paladin, you hear something on Watch, Yuan-Ti Fangblade, a lot of very reasonable cards. But I think I'm going to take this card. It seems like just a pretty sweet card to have at the top end of your curve. And cut like the Beholders for that. Planar Ally, whenever it attacks, venture into the dungeon. Pretty consistent way to venture into the dungeon, but a relatively slow card. Still think it's probably the best card in black or white here. Well, there is a Wandering Troubadour in green. 4 mana 4/2 that ventures just by hitting landfall each end step. Might be significantly better than Planar Ally. It only has 2 toughness though, so it doesn't really ever block. It's probably a bit better than Planar Ally, but not enough to try to swap over into playing green again, I think. Alright, Arborea Pegasus seems pretty easy, although Battlecry Goblin, I remember this being like a mythic rare uncommon in terms of power level. 2 mana for a 2/2. For 2 mana, you can give all of your goblins +1/+0 in haste. You can do that as many times as you want, as long as you have the mana, and whenever you attack with power 6 or greater in combat, you're spitting out another goblin, so really absurd and aggressive decks, but pretty far from red. We'll take Arborea Pegasus. Another Arborea Pegasus. There's also the Warlock class, which is fine. I remember this is just like card draw, and then eventually maybe if you get to level 3, it does some extra damage. Sure. Fine little card draw spell. Act 2, pick 6 now. A bunch of slow stuff. Yeah, I guess I'll just take the Delver's Torch here. Another Vampire Spawn or another Veteran Dungeoneer. Got 3 3-mana creatures. I've got a million 4 mana, but I could cut Manticore, maybe Pegasus. Be full-on slow dungeon delving. I'm going to go for the Veteran Dungeoneer here. I'm going to keep getting into that dungeon. I'll take a Yuan-Ti Fangblade. Just all in. All in on black-white dungeoneering. Ooh, got that you hear something on Watch to Wheel. I like that. Defensive removal spell or an offensive little anthem effect buffing the entire board. Now we'll just take the on-color cards until we open up pack number 3. Alright, pack 3, pick 1. We've opened up Mordenkainen, a blue Planeswalker mythic rare. Unfortunate. And I guess I could play a Zombie Ogre. Yeah, I don't have a lot at 5 mana. We'll take a Zombie Ogre here. Shambling Ghast was always fine too, though. Very low on cheap cards. Like to pick up some more 1 and 2 mana creatures, but hopefully we can find more premium ones. You know what, I think Shambling Ghast is good enough to use that at the 1 mana slot. Overtaking the Zombie Ogre here. We'll focus on the curve for the final pack. to round things out. Not have enough artifacts for Ingenious Smith. I'll take another Shambling Ghast then. Just a 1-mana card that can often trade into your opponent's 2-mana creatures, and when it doesn't, it spits out a treasure token when it chumps blocks to help you move up on the curve a little faster, which is nice. Another Precipitous Drop is great. I'll take that over a third Ghast. I think this is going to be actually just excellent in this deck. -2/-2 to something and venture into the dungeon. And this is a deck that can actually work to complete some dungeons, like the Lost Mine of Phandelver, because we have so many ways to venture in. So this ends up being like -5/-5 later in the game, while still giving us that dungeon venturing value. Third Shambling Ghast, let's go. Yeah, we'll just have our early game be entirely Shambling Ghasts, I guess. See if we can wheel a Fangblade or a Planar Ally. Okay, this is going to be a fun one. We've kind of moved in on an archetype for sure. Alright, we can take a Zombie Ogre now. This is basically just a deck right here. 23 cards, it's 16 creatures. So now we can just swap cards around every time we take something. Lightfoot Rogue, 2-mana 2/1 that only has Death Touch on attacks. We roll a 20, it's a really good attacker, but that doesn't seem that exciting. I might even take Hexblade over that. I don't think I either make the cut though. I don't have any treasure production outside of the dungeons. Could get 1 treasure from the mine tunnels. Is there anything in here worse than Lightfoot Rogue? Probably, but I think it's the least cool card. There is nothing for me here. Take this Ambushed on the Road, I suppose, but put it in the sideboard. Devour Intellect to the sideboard. Herald of Hadar to the sideboard. Ooh, 4th Veteran and Dungeoneer, let's go. Probably not aggressive enough that I cared too much about Arborea Pegasus. Giving something flying. It can let a Fangblade in though, so I'm just trying to figure out what my next cut is. Maybe it's a land. Got 3 Shambling Ghasts, maybe making a treasure when they die. No, I think I'm going to cut a Pegasus. 1 Pegasus, 1 land. Call it a deck. Yep. Let's cut a land, call it a deck, and just run into the gameplay today. Alright, here's a look at today's deck. It's going to be a black-white Venture into the Dungeon deck. This was one of the new mechanics to the Adventures in the Forgotten Realms format that allows you to keep getting a little bit of value. So you start off at the first room of whichever dungeon of your choice. So the cave entrance, the first time you venture into the dungeon. The second time you get to either move into the goblin lair or the mine tunnels to get some value. So this deck is chocked full of ways to venture into the dungeon, so we can just accrue a lot of incremental advantages. Scrying, getting treasures, 1/1s, draining our opponent for some life, and most importantly, drawing a card a few times off of the end of that dungeon. If we manage to complete a dungeon, we do buff our Precipitous Drop to being able to give -5/-5, but this is just always going to be good, again, giving us that incremental value of delving into the dungeon. We have tons of ways to do that just right when we cast our creatures, like the Dungeoneers, and plenty of repeatable ways like Delver's Torch, letting us venture every time we attack, Fangblade venturing every time we deal combat damage to a player, Planar Allies venturing every time they attack, and Zombie Ogres venturing every time 1 creature dies in our end step. So, lot of value to grind out a long game with this deck. Pretty excited to show it off and play with some of the Adventures in the Forgotten Realm unique mechanics. So without further ado, let's head into the gameplay. Here we are on the play for game 1. Definite keep here. I'll play the Priest first if I don't naturally draw my 4th land by turn 4. But if I do, I think I'll play Fangblade first, because I don't really need to draw a card if I hit the land. I didn't hit the land, so I'm going to play the Priest here, trying to find the 4th for the Dungeoneers. And we did find the 4th. Very into that. Okay, ooh, planar ally. So if I can scry into the 5th land, then we are just playing with fire here. It's not a 5th land, so I'll dump the Shambling Ghasts to the bottom. Send in for 2. Our opponent is going to Dragon's Fire the Dungeoneer, revealing a Jaded Sellsword to deal 4 damage. And they're going to play the Jaded Sellsword, just a 4/3 on the board. Still did not hit that next mana. Go ahead and get a treasure token off of the dungeon here. That will guarantee we can drop a planar ally next turn. Take the 1-for-1 trade there. They're going to play an Owlbear. Very good value play. 5 mana, 4/4 trample. Also draws a card. Pretty phenomenal card. Love to be able to blow that up with this You Hear Something on Watch, but I think I just take 1 hit from it first to get this planar ally down as soon as possible, so that I can grind out as much value as possible off of the card. Another Owlbear, good gravy. Owlbear is a phenomenal card. Definitely don't want to see duplicates from our opponent. Now we're taking 1,000,000 damage. Down to 12 immediately. Okay, 5 mana up here. I can shut off the smaller Owlbear with the Fungi Cavern. That's probably what we're going to do. And then we just blow up the other Owlbear with this. But I'm also threatening a double block to kill it by playing the Vampire Spawn here. Alternatively, could have attacked with this Priest since I am holding up the removal to kill that Owlbear. I like threatening to kill it on blocks as well. Yeah, because now if they play another creature, that's actually horrific. Gotta kill the Herd Gorger with this now. Means I let the Owlbear stay currently. There's no way to kill both of them because this needs to be dealt 6 damage. This only does 5. Guess I could play a Death Toucher to kill the Herd Gorger next turn. Could be reasonable, try to just kill all the trample for now. Sure. Let's get rid of all the trample. Get a Death Toucher down for the Herd Gorger. Draw a card now? Yes, we are going to draw a card now. Another planar ally. Could play planar ally Shambling Ghast, and if I hit another land later, I'd get to go Veteran Dungeoneer Yangti Fangblade. I hit them for 6 next turn. I can kill them in 2 attacks, because I can pick a floor of a dungeon that makes them lose some life. I think I do like playing the planar ally down. And a Shambling Ghast to chump block the Herd Gorger, just take 4 damage this turn. Find the path. They are going to venture into the dungeon, get their Scry 1 here. And the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Move the equipment to the Owlbear. Send in the squad. Down to 9. Get the treasure token to know that I can cast both of these. Ooh, precipitous drop when I have completed a dungeon is incredible. So I can venture 1, 2, 3, 4 times this turn? I could just do the entire Lost Mine of Phandelver? Alternatively, the whole Tomb of Annihilation, that seems a little sketchy. I can gain a life scry 1, make it so they can't attack, and then scry 2. I think I Dungeon of the Mad Mage here. Yeah, I think I actually go into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, make it so they can't attack with Herdgorger, fully kill the Owlbear with the Precipitous Drop. This is gonna be insane. This is gonna be wild stuff. Kill one planar ally, but I can still make it so that can't attack by playing a Dungeoneer, so I'm gonna attack both. Alright. We'll have a Death Toucher out next turn. Wow, Werewolf Pack Leader's a disgusting card. It's gonna be a Trampler that draws them a card as well. Because their equipment, yeah. Trample, draw a card here. I have Lethal on board if they don't draw a 2-mana creature. But I also go to 4 life if I don't go for this block here. Oh wait, I don't have Lethal because they can just block with Herdgorger. What am I talking about? I can't stop that from blocking with this. Ooh, Cleric class? Didn't do anything immediately. But it will be nice in the future. Alright, we'll just play a Fangblade and a Cleric class. Most likely would just rather dump mana into the Cleric class than play a Sepulchre Ghoul next turn, so I'm just going to scry that to the bottom in case we draw something better, like removal. It's a Hill Giant Herdgorger that gives our opponent another turn with that gain 3. Gives them a pretty big attack here as well that forces me into a chump. Get 2 1/1s to chump block with next turn. Oh my god, that is so good. Yeah, we'll just play it really safe because we get 2 1/1s next turn. Well, that's a good draw. I think I'd rather level this up though, with 2 chump blockers out already. Because next turn I can pick up a vampire spawn and kill them if I have the mana to reanimate. So it just leads into lethal here. Doesn't really matter where I scry. That's probably the order I want though. Alright, and let's pick up vampire spawn. Alright, well that was a lot of venturing into the dungeon. We almost completed the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, and we would have if we just went into it immediately instead of going for the Lost Mine first. All in all, that was incredible. That was a lot of dungeon delving. That was some fun stuff. We are 1-0 as we head into game 2. Alright, here we are in game 2. Got a Fangblade, Precipitous Drop, Veteran Dungeoneer, plenty of ways to venture into the dungeon. and a plate armor to buff up our creatures. Alright, great draw for us. We hit a 2-mana play. We can do something before turn 3. We're playing against red-white. They're going to start things with a portable hole on the Sepulchre Ghoul. That is fine. Now we'll play a Yuan-Ti Fangblade. If they play anything with 2 or less toughness, we can drop it to make sure the Fangblade can get in. We'd be venturing into the dungeon twice. 1, 2, 3 ways to venture minimum. Might go for the Mad Mage. Alright, now if I just weaponry the Fangblade. This is the perfect suite of removal for what we're doing so far. Dungeoneer here. Yeah, let's be mana efficient. I feel like I'm just not guaranteed to get that far into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage right now, so I'm just going to take the guaranteed consistent value that comes with the Lost Mine of Phandelver. Oh, that's a bomb rare. Alright, well, I can mitigate it for now, and then if I can speedrun this dungeon, then it will die. So we're gonna get the treasure token to be able to play the Fangblade as well, to try to go farther into the dungeon. Moonblessed Cleric. They get to put any enchantment from their deck on top of their library. The Minimus Containment. Put it on our Precipitous Drop, I guess. That's pretty horrible. Don't really have attacks into this board state. I'll play the Planar Ally. Need to wait till I have 6 mana for the Plate Armor. To equip to one of those. They might Minimus Containment the Planar Ally now. Oh, still Minimus Containment the Precipitous Drop. Well, I'll just take the trade then. And we're chilling. We're just vibing with our opponent. Do hit the Plate Armor mana. They have to lose both their creatures to stop Fangblade from venturing. And then we still have a big enough blocker to stop them from attacking back. They are going to lose both their creatures. Alright. Goblin Morningstar, 1/1 and an equipment. Celestial Unicorn, just a 3/2. Hit for 6, they hit for 4. I hit for 6, they hit for 4. I think they actually outrace. 21, 10, 15, 6, 9, 2, 3, dead. Yeah. Zombie Ogre's nice, that can block pretty well. If I could move the plate armor around without having to sack my treasure token, I would have done that there. Alright, now I have to move plate armor around back and forth to still hold up blocks for the 6/6. Plate armor is really, really showing its worth this game. Without the plate armor, we wouldn't have been doing anything these past couple turns. Devoted Paladin, that's very big. They do not go for an attack there, alright. I guess I could just take 7 and kill 2 of their things, which I had an okay block there. Go to the Fungi Cavern. 5, 6, 7. I don't have the mana to move plate armor back and forth. And also play Precipitous Drop. I guess I don't need to play Precipitous Drop unless something dies here. Alright, okay, this is gonna be awesome. Because now I can complete a dungeon, make sure the Paladin dies as well. Guess I go to the Dark Pool at this point. So kill the 6/6. Go to the Dark Pool off of this. And then the Temple of Dumathoin off of Zombie Ogre. And then the Paladin's dead now. Could have killed the Unicorn. That might have been safer, because Unicorn could get explosive if they have something that gains life every single turn. But they are red-white, not green-white or anything. They're going to have less life gain than usual, just the white life gain. Alright. Bunch of dorks. Ooh, a vampire spawn too? So Dungeoneer plate armor gets equipped here. Gonna keep going to the Lost Mine. Consistent value. Alright. I'll kill both of those and then I'll get a 1/1. Always suit the 1/1 up with plate armor. Cleric class, that is pretty nasty. Pick up our planar ally, yeah, that'll be huge. I think that's big enough to set that up rather than move a plate armor right now. There's an Evolving Wilds from my opponent. Forgot Evolving Wilds was in this set. Okay. Pick up a planar ally. Try to take over the game with that card. I guess I kill them in 2 attacks, because I can drain them again, and then I make it an 8/8 on attacks. Just attack them twice. And there you go. Another Celestial Unicorn. Wow, with a Cleric class on board, the Dark Pool. Oh my god, I got a Delver's Torch too? Value Town? I was gonna say, with Cleric class on board, the Dark Pool is just like the way better version of the storeroom. This is absurdity. Alright, they'll go to 1. Could even move the plate armor for only 2 mana now that I have another equipment on board. Ooh, they did hit some life gain for the unicorns. So they'll be a little bigger now, but we have gained all the way up to 24 now off this cleric class. And just dungeon nonsense. Yeah, they are going to scoop them up there. Just making sure to go through the motions and make our blocks, but the dungeon delving value is going to get there again. Just as we get into these long games like this, we are just constantly getting value while our opponent's just playing off the top, and great things are happening. We are 2-0 now as we head into game 3. Alright, here we are for game 3. No black mana is obviously a bit of an issue, but I think the hand is powerful enough in terms of what we do have. It is a bit slow, but we are on the play to make up for that. That is the other flaw, nothing till turn 4 theoretically, if I don't hit the black source. But if I find the black source, or if I find any 3 mana creatures in white, then the hand is fine, and we did find the black source. So now we're just doing some good stuff. Opponent's going to start things off with an Ingenious Smith, letting them dig for an artifact. They don't find anything, so it's just a 2 mana 1/1. That feels good for me. Priest of Ancient Lore, they'll gain a life and draw a card. Shambling Ghast can trade into both of their 1 toughness creatures now. Kinda wild. Alright, let's drop our Dungeoneer. Let's do as we do. Get into that Lost Mine of Phandelver. Scrying to a second planar ally? Alright, if we complete the Lost Mine, I'm heading into the Dungeon of the Mad Mage. If I can get double planar ally going. They are black-white though, so they probably have a lot of removal. Kill at least one of these angels. At least one of them, if not both. The other thing I don't like about this matchup is they could have a lot of main deckable enchantment removal very easily to just stop the cleric class. There's the Dawnbringer cleric, that's a 2 mana 1/3 that can blow up an enchantment when it hits the board. And there's the 6 mana 6/5 that can blow up an enchantment when it hits the board. Either one of those cards could ruin my cleric class's day. Alright, opponent is going to choose to go into the Lost Mine of Phandelver as well. They were probably considering the Dungeon of the Mad Mage, but they decided to play it safe there, as we did. Here's Planar Ally number 1. Warlock class from our opponent. That's the card draw class, lets them pick a card from the top 3, put in the hand, the rest in grave, and it's going to keep pinging us for 1 life. Level 3 on that class is really scary. Arborea Pegasus to hit us for 3? Sure. But yeah, level 3 on that is whenever we, in our end step, we lose life equal to the life that we lost this turn, which can just stack up to an egregiously high amount of damage. I think I'm going to the Goblin Lair. dropping another planar ally. Next turn I could level up the cleric class and then go to the dark pool. Ooh, +2 mace. Well, can't get through the Arborea Pegasus now. They also can't really attack me that aggressively. Because if they attack, I crack back for 6 and venture twice, which feels bad for them. Alright, yeah, so now we're going to be in the good old-fashioned stare down. I think I play Zombie Ogre here. Could attack with Ghast. Sorry about that. Squeaky chair. Could attack with Ghast and I either get in for 1, or I can trade it off into Priest of Ancient Lore with its death trigger and also venture. Yeah, I feel like I probably don't need it as a blocker. Should have played this post-combat, because then they might have gone for the kill on the Shambling Ghast. But if they see the Zombie Ogre on board, then they're going to be like, well, no, I'll take 1. So we're looking for any of our own equipment. The plate armor obviously does it really well, but Delver's Torch would do it as well. Just give +1/+1, and then the next. Oh no, they're running the Spear of Annihilation? Hey, there's the Delver's Torch. Exile Sphere of Annihilation. All creatures and planeswalkers mana value less than. All creature and planeswalkers in grave, so it doesn't hit artifacts or enchantments. I think. So we want to spend all our mana on those. On artifacts and enchantments here. Could equip the torch, but I'm already going to venture twice here and a third with Zombie Ogre in the end step. I think I'd rather level up Cleric class. That is not a May ability. It just happens. Less than or equal to number of void counters. Yeah, it's going to be everything. Okay. I'm not attacking with Zombie Ogre so that they can't kill it during combat, so that I can guaranteed get another venture in my end step. Spread out the damage there. Go back in the Lost Mine. Alright. Things look pretty even. They have a little more cards, but we have Dungeoneer with Delver's Torch, which is going to be absurd. We have a Cleric class if this ends up dying. Hired Hexblade. Oh, that's really good here. Draw a card since they had the treasure from Thieves' Tools. And they can suit up all their equipment to it. Alright. Land Dungeon Crawler. No extra ways to go through the dungeon though, so that's probably just a 2-1, but even a 2-1 is nice with these equipment on board. Go to the dark pool next turn. Counter on something and drain them for life. Feels fine. Grand Bounty, well, that's not good. I guess I can just class that back from my graveyard. That's not horrendous. Venture into the dungeon when it hits the board. Still have the mana to put the torch on the goblin. Complete the dungeon again. So it does seem quite reasonable. Or I could just top deck another Dungeoneer and play that instead. Just go double dungeon. Double Dungeoneer. Straight up can't block the dungeon crawler, period. I'm at 19 now, though, so that's fine. Kraken for 4, put them to 7. Don't have a good block for Hexblade after that. They can't move the mace onto this and make that unblockable, so I can definitely block a 4/4 if I just hold up all my blocks here. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just hold up all these blocks. Well, I can hit them for 3, but I'm not gonna Delver's Torch. I'm gonna hold up 2 blocks for Hexblade. Because if I Delver's Torch attack, then I'm holding back a 3/4 against the 4/4, and it doesn't seem ideal. But if we have 2 of them, that's perfectly fine. Priest of Ancient Lore off the top's definitely strong. As is Yuan-Ti Fangblade. They could put the Thieves' Tools onto the Fangblade, so they start going into the dungeon every turn as well. Plate Armor. Pretty good off the top. Scry again. Find another Veteran Dungeoneer. Great card. We are just immediately going to get their Death Toucher off the board, which is fine. Basically just trade a 1/1 Goblin up into it and stop them from venturing any farther. Oh my god, never mind. Yeah, borrowing is really bad for me. They're only on 4/2. Okay, that's not horrendous. If they complete a dungeon, this card's insane. Turn a creature with mana value 3 or less from their grave to the battlefield each turn. They just put a Thieves' Tools on it, and it's guaranteed to keep getting in and doing that. But they haven't completed a dungeon. They're only halfway there. No ways to venture on board. Alright, Barwin's still a very good draw here. Multiple blockers, but the fact that they haven't completed a dungeon means we'll be fine. Barwin would be incredible in our deck. I guess they don't have a lot of creatures with mana value 3 or less, though. But just the, we're really good at completing dungeons. I put a plate armor on this. Does it attack any better? 7/8, how do they block? They have to block Hexblade, Borrow, and 1/1. If I attack with a 4/5, they can block with a 4/4 and a 1/1. Does attack pretty significantly better. Much as I'd love to block better, that is a large improvement on the attack. I could could have a 4/5 to block a 4/4. That does feel like a good blocker. Next turn we'll be drawing a card again. Cool, we're killing the 1/1. Alright, guessing they drew a land or something because now they're going to fully level up the Warlock class, which is horrifying. That's going to do a massive amount of damage to us. Now the Dungeon Crawler, instead of chipping in for 2 a turn, hits for 4 a turn, basically. But they don't even attack this turn. They're real safe. Alright, attack with the Dungeoneer then. Draw our card before I do anything else. Ooh, Priest of Ancient Lore, draw a card and gain a life to put a counter on something. Probably make another 4/5. Super cool with that. Just stacking up a massive block. Sure. Feels great for me. Just draw a million creatures as well. Devoted Paladin. They can block 2 creatures and take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A little over lethal. So we'll take the massive life point swing here to just make sure we have enough attackers. And let's send in for lethal. So I'll gain the life for a +1/+1 counter here. But yeah, that is well over lethal, and we are now going to be 3-0, at least going 50-50 with the deck. Feels very nice. I definitely forgot the format. Forgot a lot of aspects of it quite a bit during the draft. I felt like a little like a chicken with my head cut off, but we still just scooped up a ton of Venture into the Dungeon value, and we're really grinding out these games. 3-0 as we head into Game 4. Here we are now for Game 4, and the Warlock class is excellent in this hand, giving us something to do on turn 2. Run it out on turn 1, turn 2 we get to use it as card draw, although if I top deck Sepulchre Ghoul, I guess we'll keep expanding our board state at the start of the game like you should be doing. Save your card draw for after you've established a board presence. Especially against a red deck with a 2-mana 3/1. I would like to trade into that and get it out of my life. Because this can be a first striker later in the game if they attack with 6 power or greater, which is really, really nasty. Our Sepulchre Ghouls are really good against that. Or not our Sepulchre Ghouls, our 3 Shambling Ghasts are what we would like to have there. They've already got 6 power on the board, so that's gonna be not good. 3/4s could be pretty nice here. Are they going to be good enough to use Warlock class instead of the Fangblade? I don't think so. I think I need a Death Toucher to threaten to trade up into the Valor Slinger. The idea here was maybe I could just take a turn off just to make sure I hit the land for the Veteran Dungeoneers. But I don't think I can take a turn off against 6 power on board this early, because then I would just be like, no blocks. There you go. But I think I need to kill at least one of these creatures right now. Let's kill the Valor Slinger. There's a Hoarding Ogre, phenomenal card, spits out 1,000,000 treasure tokens. Precipitous Drop's a great draw, because that's going to allow me to kill the Captain and scry one to dig for the 4th mana for Dungeoneer, so I can start playing a bunch of 3/4s against their 3/3. Oh. It's not the land, but if I scry it to the bottom and the next card's a land, I could have just played this and drawn that land anyway. Being able to play this means I can block as a 4/3 on Hoarding Ogre, double block to trade in. It's kind of awkward, but I think I'm okay with playing that as my play next turn. And I think that'll be significantly better if the next card is just another non-land card. It is a little worse if the next card after the Priest of Ancient Lore is a land. It's a little worse than just drawing the land and playing Dungeoneers. Alright, yep. Hired Hexblade. Hobgoblin Captain. Battlecry Goblin. Yeah, we look pretty dead here. Red-black is just the best archetype in the format by a country mile. There's just so many efficient, powerful aggro cards. I think we'd have a real game here if I hit every land on curve. But obviously we didn't do that. It was moderately self-imposed with the Priest of Ancient Lore. But again, the idea was if I scry that to the bottom, I'm in the exact same position as if I didn't. If there was not a land in the next card anyway, right? Because if I'd scried this to the bottom, I would have drawn a Precipitous Drop instead and played that and still not had the fourth land anyway. So, I don't know, it feels very equivalent here. They get to just buff their board for like a million extra damage off the Battlecry Goblin. Yeah, I'm basically in the exact same position as if I scried the Ancient Lore to the bottom, except I'm at one more life, because I would have traded Precipitous Drop into one of their creatures instead of Ancient Lore into one of their creatures. Well, I suppose I could have dropped the Battlecry Goblin, which would have saved more life in the long run. But we're definitely just dead either way. Yep. That is, I guess that's dead on board. Instead of functionally dead. The alternative I would have been at maybe like 5 life. And then if I top deck a land, I could have 1 blocker on the board, but that game felt pretty unwinnable regardless. Red-black aggro is just phenomenal in this format, and we are going to get dunked on 3-1 as we head into Game 5. Here we are now for Game 5, another super slow hand, but we have both of our colors, which is pretty important. Drop a Cleric class and pass. Drawn all of my 5 and 4 mana cards. It's a little awkward. Not all of them, but all the Dungeoneers and all the allies. Pretty wild. Shambling Ghast, sure. Scaled Herbalist can spit some extra lands into play if they have them in the opening hand. It's like they probably don't, or they wouldn't have attacked. Priest of Ancient Lore is great, but Shambling Ghast is very good against that. We've drawn our 1 6-mana card in the 2-land keep. That's not what we want to see. There's a Druid class from our opponent, which is eventually going to spit out a massive creature. Yeah. Take this trade, get my treasure token, so as soon as I hit 1 land, I can play at least one of these Dungeoneers and hope to scry into the 4th land. Alright, destroy the Cleric class. Fair enough. Alright, there's 1 land. Find me another Dungeoneer. There's another land. I need another Plains pretty badly, but Not badly enough to ditch the swamp when I have 2 more Dungeoneers, and if I ditch this and hit more non-land cards, I'm gonna have a really, really bad time. Yeah, it is gonna be rough not finding a second Plains, but not rough enough to not do that there. Right, big old purple worm. 8/7, just need to get 1 more creature down. If I make the 1/1, I can triple block the purple worm to kill it. If I get the treasure, I know I can play a planar ally next turn. The treasure is so valuable to me right now. But I can't sit here and just keep taking 8. I get the 1/1. I know I can still play another veteran Dungeoneer next turn, if nothing else. Devoted Paladin, well that ruins that plan. Trump block with the Goblin instead then. Ooh. Well, found the out. Just play a Death Toucher. And that will block the purple worm. There's a planar ally of their own. Warlock class. Digs a lot farther than Dungeoneer would, because it's not going to dig at all right now. Yeah, let's dig for a Plains, so I can play a White Dragon to beat their planar ally. There's a Plains. Oop, don't want to do that. They're going to scry 1 off of the planar ally. Level up the Druid class. Turn one of their lands into an 8/8. Sure. Got the White Dragon mana now. So I play the White Dragon and lock down the forest. I have the blocker set up for their planar ally. I have the blocker for the purple worm. And now we've got time to set up our own board state. Next time I venture into the dungeon, I get to go into the storeroom and buff the planar ally, so I actually get a legit attack off of it next turn. So that's going to be phenomenal. Because that'll allow me to just keep attacking in with it, because it'll be big enough to beat theirs. Another planar ally wouldn't be able to attack in against that one, because it's not going to get the counter, so I think I'm going to go Dungeoneer and just immediately draw the card, see if we hit anything we can cast for 3 or less. It's also a slightly better blocker. Do hit something I can cast. You hear something on Watch. Deal 5 to a tapped creature. Or an attacking creature. You plate armor. That's my secret late game tech. Why do you have it? Yeah, that's bad for me. Plate armor onto the planar ally. I don't have the mana to pay the ward right now. Oh, it's ward 1? Okay, I do have the mana to pay a ward 1. But I'd have to 2-for-1 myself, lose the White Dragon and the You Hear Something on Watch. Oh, but they don't attack with it? Okay, then we're fine. We can just block the other nonsense. So we do this, and then +1/+1 our board. That makes these both 4/5s, and they only kill one of these two. Or I could just do this and then deal 5. That's the exact same thing. Either way. Yeah, I'll just do the +1/+1 thing. Cool. Now I gotta find a way through this this planar ally, but they are playing off the top, and we've still got a Dungeoneer planar ally of our own. I guess we're just scrying into equipment right now that we're trying to find. Our own plate armor. Move the equipment to the unicorn. Trade one Dungeoneer into it. And move the equipment back. Second Druid class, that's going to be another 8/8 soon enough. They only have 7 lands on board, but I can't imagine they haven't top-decked another land in this time. Zombie Ogre might make attacks in the sky worth it, especially if we can upgrade the Warlock class first, because we'll deal 1,000,000, lose 1 creature, and venture a bunch. It actually does seem pretty nasty. I think I actually, you know what? Let's get aggro here. This is gonna deal like 16 damage to them, because they're gonna have to take 8. And they take another 8. They're down to 4? Oh my god, the Warlock class is disgusting. So if they don't play another flyer, they're just dead? Okay, well they gain 3 life, but they still take 8 if one of my 4-power flyers hits them. So they're just dead? To the Warlock class being a ridiculous magic card. I mean, it costs a lot of mana to get there, but good grief, we just brought our opponent from 22 to 0 so fast. And they are going to scoop them up. It is 4-1 now. Huge overperformer to the Warlock class. I knew it was fine, because like the draw spell aspect, but whew, that level 3 completely won us the game there. Just majorly. Absolute game changer there. We are 4-1 as we head into round number 6. Here we are for game 6. Another pretty slow hand, but again, we're on the play, so we're cool. And if they are an aggro deck, we can cast our You Hear Something on Watch pretty early. Set off some traps. Explode their aggro creatures like we're Bill from The Last of Us. Alright, they are starting with a 1-mana 1/1 haste. I don't really want to kill that. But this does show off that they are going to be aggressive here. 2-mana 1/3, that really doesn't matter unless they roll a bunch of dice to deal extra damage to us. Here's a Fangblade that could stop them from attacking if they don't have removal. Improvised weaponry is pretty good at killing this thing though. Dwarf Hold Champion is the play. 1 to the creature blocking it? Yeah, I guess Javelineer gets in then. And now, Dungeoneer should really stop their aggro. Scry 1 looking for another Plains, ideally. Oh, Ghast is okay here. I could play Ghast plus Fangblade, but I'd rather find the 5th land for Zombie Ogre, ideally a Plains, so I can cast all my double white cards as well if I draw into them. There's a plate armor. That is going to be pretty good. Make the Javelineer 4/4. Guess I just block with Fangblade if they do that. Make Dwarf a 4/7. Can double block it. Drop the Zombie Ogre. Pass a turn. A lot of creatures are going to be dying during our opponent's turn, which is kind of sad. That means I won't be getting the Zombie Ogre Venture value, but still 3/5. So they're going to suit up the Dwarfhold Champion because it gets +2 toughness while equipped, so it's a 6/6, but I've got a pretty great block for a 6/6, so they don't even attack in. I also just have Fangblade if I want. Got the mana to play Fangblade, hold up, you hear something on watch. Could also play Skeletons and hold it up. That's a little more mana efficient. That's good enough. I can attack with Fangblade here. I venture into the dungeon no matter what. If it trades into something, I venture. And if it gets through, I venture. Get a 1/1. I'll also get a treasure token in case I top deck a white spell, but with a Zombie Ogre on board, I actually think a 1/1 Goblin's pretty valuable. And I've got enough venture shenanigans going on between Fangblade, Zombie Ogre, Clattering Skeletons. Should be able to draw another card digging for another white source. And again, this is all just hypothetical if we draw a double white spell. If I don't draw a double white spell, then I'll just be fine. Alright, we'll save the Fangblade from the removal spell. And Dungeoneer is the draw. Keep sending the Fangblade in. Feels really, really good on this board state. Put a counter on it, I guess. One life drain isn't the most wild thing ever. And I'll play the other Dungeoneer and draw a card. So much value. We're just raiding these dungeons left and right. Is this an equipment spell? Yeah, it tutors for an equipment, and it makes them better. Whenever a creature control attacks, up to one target creature blocks it this combat if able, so they can force bad blocks eventually. But for now, it's just like a solid equipment. Priest of Ancient Lore. Really nice with Cleric class, but I need a lot more white mana to use Cleric class first. Let's try to scry first. Off of some dungeon delving. And then we'll draw whatever we scryed into with the priest. Yep, scry that swamp away, and then draw the card off priest. Delver's Torch, that is a really good card, but still looking for that next white mana to level up our Cleric class a lot more efficiently. Now I can just slap a Delver's Torch onto this Fangblade that just keeps getting in. So much value. I am becoming a hyper-capitalist this game. Stonks everywhere. They're going to try to trade the Monk 1-for-1 into the Fangblade. Well, I've got a Delver's Torch that has something to say about that. I actually think I do like the treasure quite a bit here. Alright, we get a 2-for-1 trade off the Fangblade and venture into the dungeon during our end step, where we will drain our opponent for a life. think I'd rather keep the treasure for now in case I hit a double white card. I could still just crack the treasure for Clericlax next turn. Only really missing out on 1 point of life gain that it would be giving me, because it doesn't give the +1/+1 counters till you're at level 2. So I would just gain 1 more life by playing it right now. Delina Wild Mage, she can be real scary if she gets an attack off. If they're super lucky, when they attack with her, they could just win the game. Straight up. If they just roll like 20 20s in a row. There's our double white card, the Planar Ally. Why we kept the treasure around. Yeah, it's a flyer. Feels really good on this board. Don't have the mana to do anything else this turn if I play the Planar Ally. Probably do want to keep pressuring them. Priest is not a great blocker. I guess they could just kill it with Dwarf, though. I want to attack with something that might trade into something. I guess because they have a 6/6, none of this is gonna trade. But I'd be able to draw a card. I think I'll send the 1/1 in then. If it dies, I draw a card during the end step. If it doesn't die, I poke them for 1. That's fine. If I had 1 more mana, I would be really, really happy to put the torch onto the 1/1 and then send it in. But I'm going to play the Planar Ally. With our opponent at 12 life, playing a 3/3 flyer that we can make a 4/4 flyer is going to be a 3-turn clock, which is pretty dang big. Right, draw our card off of the Goblin dying, and we have hit the second white. So now I can play and level up the Clericlax 1 time, although I am going to want to be equipping the Delver's Torch. Alright, they're going to level up the Fighter class to level 2, so their equips cost 0, basically. But they need to bring it up to level 3 if they want to be able to snipe our creatures and force blocks. So they're not there yet. So they're just going to attack with everybody and see what they can get off Delina. I like the play. Oh my god, alright, that's a success. That's a success? Oh my god. It literally, they have to roll 15 to 20s for this to keep going. They got 18, 20, 20, and now 6. Okay, well, that was still tremendously lucky for them. And that means I take 4 from the Dwarf. I think even with that tremendously lucky roll, we're still going to be in the lead here. Theoretically, right? Because I kill all these, and then they just have the 4 3/2s. They're just till end of turn, right? Yeah, they're just till end of turn, so I take 12. Let me take a little less, block with the Priest. So I wipe the whole board and take 9. Yeah, I still win the game, but that got really scary. That got real scary. Sure, I'll take a Shambling Ghast for more blockers to be really safe, because they've got equipment that they can give things haste to that's just free. I like that play a lot. Our opponent just absolutely went for it. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12 off Vampire Spawn. Okay, we just have lethal. We just have lethal. Alright. Well, that was wild. It is in the name of Delina Wild Mage. But my life flashed before my eyes when I started seeing some natural 20s in a row. Whew. Spooky stuff. Spooky stuff, but we will find the victory in the end off of all of our dungeon value. We are 5-1 now, no matter what, in the money out of this premier draft of Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Here we are for Game 7. Opponent is on the play. Got a 3-drop at least and a 2-mana removal spell, so I'll keep this. Again, our deck is really chock full of 3 to 5 mana spells, so we can't expect to see a ton of early game stuff all the time. Our main early game plays are our 3 copies of Shambling Ghast primarily. Playing against blue-black, they've got a Vorpal Sword, which can just kill me in 1 hit if they make it to 8 mana, so that's a little terrifying. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, they lose the game. Yeah, that's That is what I would classify as spooky. They don't have the double black to equip the first part, at least. Not yet. I've got a really good follow through with this hand, so I'm kind of cool just keeping them off their mana by blowing up their treasure producing 1/3. Grim Wanderer. Well, if I knew about that, I wouldn't have been as excited to do that. They have Fangblade and Pass. And there's the double black. I'm not really worried about the 5/3 body. It's just that I gave my opponent the opportunity to play the card that they can only play if a creature died. But yeah, 5/3, that's kind of whatever. That's fine. Take a couple hits. Got plenty of creatures with 3 power to trade off into it. I'll be perfectly happy to trade. Go Ghast, Precipitous Drop, or I could go Skeletons, or I could go Dungeoneer. I guess we go Dungeoneer, or Skeletons first, trade into the Wanderer. Because that like needs to trade off to get its venture value. Whereas the Dungeoneer, I can just play it and do whatever I want with it later. They hit their 5th mana. They have 2 cards left in their hand. Alright, trade Skeletons into the Grim Wanderer. Scry off the Lost Mine of Phandelver, as you do. Drop a land to the bottom. And they play a Zombie Ogre, which lets them venture as well. Pretty nice. Scry 1, they also scry to the bottom. We've hit a Vampire Spawn. I think I'm just gonna get a Goblin. Pass the turn. And we're just chilling. We're hanging out with our opponent for now. Precipitous Drop on Zombie Ogre would make it a 2/3. So if I Precipitous Drop the Ogre, I can start getting in with Dungeoneer. If I want to start chipping in for damage, that would be fine. Especially after I play another 2/3 or 3/4 blocker. Alright, they are going to put the Vorpal Sword onto the Zombie Ogre, make it a 5/5 Death Touch. Take a 2-for-1 trade, it's not horrific. Shambling Ghast and Dungeoneer into that. The alternative is to go to 10. I kind of like our crackbacks though. I'll take it. Warlock class is the draw. Yeah, if they keep attacking us, we can definitely race. So let's just set up to do that. Life totals are now 12-12. If they attack me again, I block with a Ghast, make a treasure, crack back for a lot. We have just way too many 1/1s on this board for them to outrace us. We're 2/4 of the way through the Lost Mine. We need to go 2 more levels deep to get Precipitous Drop to be -5/-5. Might have another Grim Wanderer stranded in their hand. Could explain these attacks. Nope, just play a Genie Windseer. Scry 1. I guess, oh yeah, they do venture through the dungeon when we lose creatures. Maybe I should have just taken 5 again, went to 7 here. They go for the treasure. You're trying to get up to the 8 mana. They're at 6 out of 8. Planar Ally is great. Can't play Planar Ally alongside anything else here. Probably fine. Send in the 3/4 then. Drop the Planar Ally. Attacks as a 4/4 flyer because we get to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So they have to move their equipment to the Windseer if they want to be able to trade. They're at 7 out of 8 mana for Vorpal Sword. Next level, they get to give something -4, -0, or drain me for a life. Blue Dragon. Well, that is very powerful. 5/5 flyer, shut off 3 creatures here. I don't really have crackbacks. Nor do I have any blocks that'll kill the zombie ogre. They're at 9 life. This is until their next turn. Yeah, so I can't even attack and get anything off these. Good God. Go to 4 life if I let it all in. Alright. Three blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 attackers. A drop as well. The drop's going to be -5, -5 after I Dungeoneer. Yeah, this feels like it could find lethal out of nowhere. If I drop a Dungeoneer and I Dark Pool into Precipitous Drop, they're down to 2 blockers against this board state. At 8 life. Oh, I guess I'm dead if I don't Precipitous Drop. Oops. Forgot +2/+0 is just straight up a good equipment as well. Well, that was my bad there. That game was pretty winnable. Especially if they didn't have Blue Dragon. But I think even with the cards they played, I think I just punted. That was loose. 5 and 2, heading into round number 8. Alright, here we are on the play for round number 8. Very keepable hand. Start with the Priest of Ancient Lore, turn 3, multiple removal spells up. Feels pretty great. Playing against the Red-Black Menace to Society again. Drop our turn 3 Priest of Ancient Lore. We can get a trade of that into the Hobgoblin Captain. It'll be phenomenal for us. Yes, they just don't even attack. Could also just play a Precipitous Drop now, because the alternative is to play nothing. Just hold up, you hear something on watch. Yeah, this seems fine. Precipitous Drop the Hobgoblin Captain. Venture into the dungeon. Sack it to draw 2? Okay. We still kill it, we just don't venture into the dungeon anymore. Hit for 2 past the turn. But Deadly Dispute is another just ridiculously good common in black and red in this format. Don't really get any attacks in here no matter what. Probably rather play Zombie Ogre than Dungeoneer first to be mana efficient, and that lets us play Dungeoneer and you hear something on watch next turn. or Dungeoneer and level up the Warlock class to draw a card. Gelatinous Cube, phenomenal bomb rare. It is a removal spell and a creature all in one. Just a 4-mana 4/3, permanently exile any creature of your choice, as long as you spend the Dissolve mana later on. So that's rough. Goblin Morningstar hits the board. 1/1 and an equipment. Draw another Dungeoneer, so we're on Dungeoneer. You hear something on watch here? They can dissolve at instant speed, so there's no way I'm getting the Zombie Ogre back. Can only use Warlock class as a sorcery, which is awkward. Because they 100% know I have something if I don't level it up here. So I think I do. Just level it up. Or we take Cleric class. It's gonna take a lot of mana, but it's the strongest of the cards over time. Yep. Dissolve the Zombie Ogre. Make sure we never get it back. Cube into Dungeoneer is fine. Yeah, I've got another Dungeoneer to play. I'll just take the trade. Dungeoneer doesn't even block their 3/3s that well, because they can make their 3/3s 4/3s with the Goblin Morningstar anyway, so I think that was fine for me. Play another Dungeoneer. Get a 1/1 Goblin, play Cleric class Shambling Gas, I think. Spreading out the board again. Trying to clutter things up. Next turn I have the mana to level up the Cleric class and hold up You Hear Something on watch. 4 mana, 4/3. How's it going? Hello. I will take the first swing from it, and from that point on it won't have first strike. It will just be a very average Magic card. Down to 13. Another Dungeoneer. Guess it's probably better to play another Dungeoneer than it is to level up Cleric class right now. Although if I level up the Cleric class first, I get to gain the life and put a counter on something, but I think I need another creature on board. I don't need another creature on board, but I could definitely use it very well. Just make it a 4/5 on blocks. Another Deadly Dispute, phenomenal card draw. Sacks their treasure to draw 2 cards and make another treasure. So it's basically just 2 mana instant speed draw 2. A phenomenal rate. Precipitous Drop on my Veteran Dungeoneer. Make it a 2/3 and they will venture into the dungeon. Scry 1. No attacks. Drawn to a Yuan-Ti Fangblade. Play that or level up the Cleric class. Would like that on board a lot if I bring back my Zombie Ogre, because those two together are pretty absurd. I think for now I'm going to level up the Cleric class. We're pretty cool to just chill. But then next turn I'm going to play the Fang Blade, and the turn after that I'm going to resurrect the Zombie Ogre and start attacking with the Fang Blade. It'll probably just immediately trade into a Sellsword or something, but that's fine. Alright, no big roll, no big roll. 13, dang it. So now I'm the only person who has to sacrifice something. Sack a 1/1 or a land. Sack a 1/1 or a land. I think with Warlock class wanting 7 mana, I'm just going to sack a 1/1. Could sack a Shambling Ghast, kill their 1/1. That's fine. That is fine. Clattering Skeletons is the draw. Drop the Fang Blade. Pass the turn. Again, still on the level 3 Cleric class next turn plan. Get a Zombie Ogre down. Start getting the inevitability off our attacks. Unless the Fang Blade just trades into a Sellsword or a Hoarding Ogre. The Hoarding Ogre is coming in hot. They get 2 treasure tokens. Great roll. Oh, I guess that's just the 10 to 19. That's not that good. I thought that was the 20 for some reason. The 20 is 3 treasures. Ah, Incredible Bomb Rare. Hello, how are you doing? Incredible Bomb Rare number 2. That kills my entire board? I guess I lose then. It's not over yet. Can shoot Orcus for 5 with you hear something on watch. Now I have to reanimate a Death Toucher. Something big enough to kill a 6/6. I guess I could have still picked up the Zombie Ogre. Really? Seems like a good draw. Shoot for 5. Pass the turn with a 4/3 chump blocker on board against a 7 power trampler. Valor Singer to attack with an 8 power trampler. And a removal spell. Good grief. Yeah, this game was unwinnable. Again. Alright. Punted out of the opportunity to get a 7-win run because the black-red decks today have been unbeatable. I don't think these games could have changed at all, no matter what we did. But that blue-black matchup, I could have won that game and I punted pretty hard. So that was unfortunate. Unfortunate way to end it, but still a great record. We do get 5 wins. We are going to be leaving with more gems than it took to play the events. But we should have been 6-2 right now. I just punted pretty badly in the blue-black matchup. Again, the black-red match is always going to be a difficulty in this format, no matter what deck you're playing. I think our deck had a decent matchup for that archetype, because we've got the triple Ghast against the 2-mana 3/1s that are really good there, and the quadruple Dungeoneer are always great. The Dungeoneers played well in both games against red-black that we ended up in. Although I guess the first game we couldn't cast any of the Dungeoneers, but it would have blocked really well against that first red-black deck that we lost to. Yeah, overall, our deck is a little slower than you would want. It's only got 4 creatures it can play turn 1 and turn 2, but it's honestly the only real flaw that I feel like it has. Everything else worked pretty phenomenally. I think maybe swapping out a white dragon for another 1 or 2 drop, something like that, or maybe I don't know, maybe 1 Dungeoneer for another early game play. Would have been the perfect build of this deck, but the planar allies, the Dungeoneers, the multitude of ways to venture into the dungeon all played out super well. I guess Skeletons was actually our weakest dungeon delver. I was very impressed with the Dungeoneers, getting able to find really good double blocks with those. The planar allies were obviously incredible, so I guess if I had to say what the perfect black-white Dungeoneering deck would look like, it would obviously have like the Signpost uncommon and maybe a rare or 2 instead of just being all common and uncommon fodder like we've got here. But it would also be a little earlier on curve, like a Clattering Skeletons being a 2-drop and one of the Dungeoneers being a 2-drop, so that we have 3 1-mana plays, 3 2-mana plays, 4 3 manas, 3 4s, 3 5s, and a 6. Something like that would make the curve better, give us a little more of a shot early in the game. And then other than that, it's really just not having, not managing to find any bomb rares in our draft pod is the only other flaw in the deck, but that's not really something you can control at all. We definitely could have controlled the mana curve and made that a bit better to get the deck to go farther, but I'm still really happy with the deck's performance, especially because I did draft a little bit like a chicken with its head cut off. I definitely did not remember the quality level of some of these cards. I know early during pack 1, I think I passed on a Warlock class relatively early, but after playing it just today, I think this card is actually just phenomenal. You know, it's an impulse in the early game, and then it's a potential win condition, especially with the Flyers like we won that one game. Warlock class was a huge overperformer. Cleric class was pretty great, as expected. Tiny bit of an underperformer, because it was extra slow, but it was still always solid. Delver's Torch was great, Plate Armor was great, Precipitous Drops, here's something on watch. It was all pretty great stuff. Just could have used a better mana curve overall. So, again, happy with the record. Not really happy with my performance in terms of how I played those games. I'm not unhappy with how I drafted. I think I drafted fine for not having drafted the set in like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. I think we drafted pretty well. We ended up with a very sweet deck that could have been just a bit better with a better mana curve. But 5 and 3, super respectable. And we're in the money today. Well, that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons for supporting the channel, and thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in seeing more videos like this, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you more of these videos in your recommended feeds. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below, and if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.